Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Krause. But before we begin, if you guys could please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash, what are we reviewing today?
Well, Mason, we are continuing to play catch-up into the year push. So we're doing all the movies that we might have missed. This is another one that
We couldn't find anywhere?
so weird. I don't know what the algorithm is, but some movies that make it to theaters, I'm scratching my head, and some movies that don't.
You're like, why not?
Yeah, why? But this is Wes Anderson's newest film of 2021, The French Dispatch, an anthology comedy. Wes Anderson, he's very well known.
Yes.
Always gets nominated for awards and whatnot. Why could I not find this film anywhere?
I don't know. It beats me, dude. It was just the weirdest thing.
Might have been the hardest film to find of the year.
Well, and we had talked about this so many times. We were like, let's do The French Dispatch. Can you find it in theaters? Nope, can't find it anywhere in our area.
And I've seen Wes Anderson films in theaters. I know I have. Isle of the Dogs.
Isle of the Dogs was everywhere in theaters. Yes.
Not this one. It's not like it's a smaller film of his or anything like that. It's Searchlight Pictures, a big production company. Yep. An insane star-studded cast as usual for Wes Anderson. Yeah. I don't know about you, Mason. I really liked it.
I thought it was funny. I enjoy it.
It was very funny. One of his funnier films, I think.
Yeah. And I know this is Wes Anderson, so it's like you shouldn't even bring it up, but I have to. I got to give him props and credits. I love the set designs.
Oh my god,
they're some of my favorite things about his films. It's like it feels otherworldly while still being in like a world of like
very whimsical fantasy like almost. But every time I see Wes Anderson, I think, man, am I ever going to get sick of his style of filmmaking? Because it's very rare to say that there's no one else in the world that makes film like Wes Anderson makes it.
Right.
It's just how all the sets are shot dollhouse style,
and then
like it's split down the middle,
collapse. Some sets open up. Some sets are changed based on the positioning of objects on tables.
Yeah, the editing is so quick, so fast, it's so good. The costumes are awesome. Like I said, the set design is amazing. It's a film, and I hate when people say this, like, you got to watch it twice to really enjoy it. But this is a film where there's so much stuff going on at scenes where, like, there's 15 characters in one scene, and they're all doing different shit.
Right.
That you want to go back and, like, freeze frame it just to see all the different shit that people are doing.
That's funny you bring that up, because, like, that's not even something I thought you were going to bring up on the podcast or anything, but I rented this for 48 hours. And I attempted last night to watch it again just because I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the sets and all the moving pieces surrounding this film. And then obviously it was like 3 hours past what I rented for 48 hours. But I was tempted to rent it again because I really enjoyed watching this.
I think I watched it 1.5 times because, like you, I couldn't get around to watching a full second time. But I really enjoyed it too. And just to go back, once you know where the story's going, you can go back and really examine those scenes or whatever, and when you don't have to really pay attention to the finer details.
The finer details. There's so much going on that the dialogue is so quick in this.
Yeah,
it's so quick. There's again, when I talk about so many moving pieces, there are where it's almost like once you watch the entire film, it would be nice to go back through it, decipher the dialogue while watching the screen because you already get a sense of what the film's about.
Yeah, exactly. A lot going on for sure. This one even more so because it is an anthology. So
it is an anthology, but it does all tie together in one story.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that was, if you don't know, that this one is kind of reviewed a little lower than most Wes Anderson films.
Yes.
It's at a 75%, I believe, Rotten Tomatoes, which is, they're usually 80s to 90s. But the big complaint was this one that was what I saw that a lot of people said was that the anthology stories connect too loosely. and they didn't find a real point that draws them all together. Yeah, that was a big complaint, Mason. I didn't write it. Don't get mad at me.
No, I
don't get mad at me.
I was thinking about punching you.
No,
You're just the messenger.
I didn't write it. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that absolutely just makes no sense to me. I thought it all came together really well. And then you have, I don't want to skip all the way to the end of the film, but you have that really important moment at the end too, where he's like, yeah, I'm going to take this piece out. And he's like, well, what's the piece? And he goes, oh, it's a piece, whatever. And it's literally about the cook, Schaefer or something close to that.
That was, yeah.
But he talks about how, he had tasted all these things, but he had never tasted what it was like to taste this poison. And
that
how
scene
it's also
is the best scene of the film.
Hard
probably.
to be, it's like being a foreigner as well in a different
Well, he was
country.
talking about how he did it to really just to fit in.
Because he wanted to be liked. He didn't want to disappoint.
It's like it's hard in this country for foreigners. And Jeffrey Wright, who is the newest addition to the Wes Anderson troupe.
May he stay forever.
He fits in the Wes Anderson
Brilliantly.
world perfectly.
Yes.
Not everyone does, like Bruce Willis clearly didn't in Moonrise Kingdom. Still one of Wes Anderson's best films, but you won't see Bruce Willis in another Wes Anderson film.
I think you could say Adrien Brody is a surefire thing now. What is this, like 5 or 6 collaborations?
Well, Adrien Brody is another person that is perfect for Wes Anderson. Mm-hmm. His style of comedy and just the deadpan delivery. Yeah. You need to be deadpan
it's
for
so
Wes
subtle
Anderson.
too, dude.
Yeah. But Jeffrey Wright, he delivers a real somber and almost sad tone to his lines too, but it just fit perfectly for talking about the loneliness of one of these writers, a dispatch or whatever. Mm-hmm. If you don't know the story, it's more like a love letter to like the New Yorker, pretty much literary journals where like people just go off and write stories about basically anything. Yeah. Anything, just normal, regular people. And it's also like a love letter to like French cinema, which I don't know a lot about. But it was the New Yorker was definitely a big part of like inspiring this. But basically Bill Murray is the editor-in-chief of the French Dispatch, which is a dispatch of a Kansas City newspaper, but it's in France. Right. And basically the editor dies
suddenly of a heart attack.
Yeah, and you're reading from his obituary of the last edition of the French Dispatch.
That came along with 4 stories.
Yes, and it's split up. And some of the stories are definitely stronger than the others. I thought the Benicio del Toro story was probably one of the strongest for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed Jeffrey Wright's
exactly. A lot. And I loved Owen Wilson's midway story. Sometimes they'll have a small story in between, but him just riding through the city, it was so well shot, and him going through of like what the city looks like now
and what it used to look like.
Because this film is half shot in black and white and half shot in color. We talked about it a little before the podcast, but black and white had a big year in 2021.
It absolutely did. And you know what? I might be able to switch this mid.
Oh,
to the old black and white. There it is. All right,
like
we are
Wizard
now in
of
black
Oz.
and white.
Yeah, we're going
for the
backwards.
remainder of it.
Yeah, but the black and white color for this one is used to perfection. I mean, the switching, it always switches to black and white to color on like a beat, on the perfect story element of the movie. But I thought it was used super well. Black and white doesn't always hit it for me, but this one is like it's half and half.
I gotta be honest though, like as of late, at least the films I've seen in black and white,
because we've just been lucky enough to see some good ones.
That's because we pick and choose what our black and white films are gonna be. But like Belfast, I thought was great. I'm really looking forward to reviewing Come On next week. A little tease for next week.
And the tragedy of Macbeth.
Just called Macbeth or something.
I think
but
it is
Denzel Washington, A24.
But also in black and white.
Also in black and white, yep.
Yeah. But like I said, go back to this one. The story with Benicio, the concrete masterpiece. I loved that use of black and white of when like you see his final painting or whatever, and once you see it, it turns to color. Like you're seeing art for the first time or whatever. But I love that whole story was super fucking funny. I thought Benicio del Toro had really good chemistry with the
guard.
Leah Seydoux, who's she's so amazing. I mean, just so beautiful. It's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
She is amazing. Absolutely.
But she's great. I thought Benicio and her had great fucking chemistry.
Yeah, they did. It was like a weird, like a
very
authority, sexy.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to feel about it. It was making me feel all sort of ways.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This chemistry here,
I'm digging this. I'm very confused right now. But yeah, and they kind of get into that, especially with Tilda Swinton, who the cast in this fucking film, dude, is
A plus. A plus.
There is some huge castings this year, particularly with films like Don't Look Up and stuff. But this one, man, every time, just a new amazing actors being introduced and everyone. But Tilda Swinton, she's like the writer for this story. But I thought it was hilarious, her going back and like explaining how he came up and how he was the son of a Jewish Mexican horse breeder.
Yeah.
Super rich and well off, you know, and then he pretty much gave all that up to travel the world for art, and
he would do different styles of art every time.
He's like,
the
I met
last
the
one
people
was violence
and mental illness, and that was the funny one where he's like painting himself,
and his eyes are all like
just him looking at himself. And the last one was violence, and he decapitated,
beheaded 2 people.
It was an accident, though.
Well, the first one was.
The second was self-defense.
The second was self-defense.
That's so funny because what it means is like he saw that one guy got beheaded and then attacked him, and then he's like, "But I had to kill that guy
because he was attacking me, even though I was beheading this man in a bar."
Yeah. So. But a lot of funny scenes in that first one.
Tilda had a great scene too. I thought it was fucking hilarious. Where it's the slideshow, and he goes doop, and it's the one of her nudes.
That's supposed to be there.
That's a picture of me. All right, I'm turning that off. It was just so casual and so funny. Like I love that part.
It is. It's that Wes Anderson like dry wit. Yes. And like no one laughs ever. Nothing is funny in this film to the people in the film.
No. Yeah.
No one chuckles. You never hear a chuckle. Everything is so serious, but it's all just the most ridiculous shit. Yeah, she put a nude
on accident.
And at one point she goes, "Okay, I'll take my drink now," and she just dips behind the thing. So it's so weird. But yeah, I loved Adrien Brody in that first one is amazing. He's very funny, kind of fast talking art dealer, I guess.
Well, yeah, because he was previously locked up because of tax fraud.
Yeah.
Or tax evasion, I should say. They're different.
Yeah, and he goes, amazing though, and he that's where he finds Benicio del Toro, who has been in prison for years for double homicide. Obviously, I mean he's in life. He says
he's a lifer. You can say that.
Well, he's in the part of the prison for mentally deranged and dangerous prisoners.
Well, and he was like, I just served 3,000 months. I only have 14,000 to go. And you're like, yeah. I was doing the math in my head when I watched it. I go, oh, that's life sentence.
That part was so funny when he first goes to the art class and she's like, say something about yourself. Introduce yourself. And he's like, no, I don't want to. He's like, just do it. And he does it and he just unloads the darkest shit.
A bomb on that whole room. And they're like, okay.
I fear if I don't do something quick, it will be suicide. They're all like, and she's like, okay, take a seat. Yeah,
let's just get the artwork done.
And it's a basket weaving class, but he sculpts this pottery that's like the most profound, beautiful hand sculpted pottery you've ever seen. And that's one thing I appreciated. It was the art was actually good art. Mm-hmm. It could have been. It was in a time in France or whatever when it was like abstract was just coming out, so the art was actually decent art.
Yeah.
But he ends up painting his final masterpiece
because of her,
and
he says it's all her.
He paints it onto the walls, though, of the prison, so they can't get him out.
So they can't get it out. And Adrien Brody was so pissed.
You invalid, you psychopath. He just shits on him.
How am I supposed to make money? I flew all these people out here.
You invalid, you psychopath, you deranged. Yeah, I thought you liked it. He goes, I fucking hate it.
I loved the prisoner scene where they were like, the prisoners are out there and they want
bribes also.
How many of them? All of them.
And he runs.
And then he just...
How'd you get out there?
And then he goes, what do we do? And Benicio del Toro goes, lock the door. And then he locks the door. And then they just knock the window out. But he's still sitting there at the door the whole time.
And then it goes in like...
to that like freeze frame. and then he stands up and goes,
Yeah. And he got like the Medal of Honor. For
well, remember, 75 prisoners died, 22. Yeah,
it was a
75
massacre.
It was a massacre.
75 prisoners, 7 staff,
And then
like
22 of the whatever.
of the people that came to look at the art.
Yeah. So it was a bloodbath.
It was a bloodbath.
But many more would have died.
If Benicio, I think he killed about
If
60.
Rothenthal, yes.
Moses.
Yes, Moses.
It's a great artist name for
It
sure.
is. Moses is a good name.
But that was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I like the Owen Wilson where it's like a 5-minute clip of him just riding the bike through the city or whatever. I like that a lot.
Also, another guy who works a lot with Wes Anderson.
Did his first film, Bottle Cap. Yeah, it was with Wes Anderson. Or Bottle Rocket, sorry.
Bottle Rocket,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Bottle Rocket's an awesome film, too. But yeah, he's very funny in this. I thought the weaker of the 3 was the Timothy Chalamet. And I enjoyed definitely aspects of it.
Yes, and as did I. I enjoyed Frances McDormand, of course.
Yeah.
I think she's awesome in anything. And there were elements of that I did enjoy quite a bit.
Some of the editing in this segment, some of the editing of best of the 3, especially that scene when they're like arguing at the jukebox or whatever, and the background kind of gets wheeled away.
Yep.
Or the scene when they're talking about the guy who had to go to the mustard region for 3 months, and they're like debating whether he should have gone or not.
And then the one guy jumps out of the window.
Well, because
he's not moving.
It was
He's still not moving.
It was a play of that guy's writings, so I like that editing a lot. Where like went to the stage version of it.
Yep. Well, because that was the whole thing. Because later on, Timothy Chalamet died. She wrote a playwright for it.
Yeah.
And all that kind of thing. So I kind of like the contrast of telling the story.
But the scene
stage.
of the captain of like, I was shot in North Africa. I got a gut bacteria in Spain. He's like, and I carry all 3 with me today. Like he still has the bullet, still has the gut bacteria. But yeah, I like that. The editing is very good in that. In this segment, it's just the story didn't really hit it off for me. It was about Timothy Chalamet. I thought did a great in it.
I guess historically, though, they were very worried a civil war was about to break out during that time period.
Yeah, that was it was called May of 68, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in France, though. You know, that happens every 5 years. They love to revolt.
They do. Good for them.
They're really good
Revolt
at it.
against your government.
They're really good at it, too.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're really fucking good at it.
Have you seen what the Yellow Vests do these days?
Well, fuck, France that's what it's known for. They've had 90 different revolts. Revolution, yeah. Yeah, and they even talk about it. They kind of poke fun at it in this one, where it's like they do like separate, like mini protests just to lead up to that one, just to kind of like warm themselves up for like a bigger one eventually. But they call this one, it's like the chessboard revolt or something like that.
Yes,
because they're playing
chess. Yeah, and then initially it started out doing small protests like, oh, we want to be able to go to the women's dormitories.
Whenever they want. Men should be allowed whenever they want. Yeah.
Which could be a problem, young men.
Well, it's all just like shit that college kids would revolt because, or protest because why the fuck not? You know, they're college kids. That's what they do. But yeah, I thought that one was pretty good. Frances McDormand did a really good job. But the third one, the private dining of police commissioner.
Yeah.
This one had so many different aspects going for it. It goes animated at one point, and the animation
loved it.
Fantastic.
Yes,
and this
I
one
really enjoyed it.
It may be the funniest of the ones too, because it is a wild story. It's got Edward Norton in it.
Yep.
Who's in a bunch of different Wes Anderson films as well.
My favorite part was when the muscle man's on the car during the animated, and then it falls off, and I'm like, oh,
I
he's
laughed.
dead. And he goes, boop, boom.
I laughed so hard when they're like, get everyone ready. And they're like, we got the climbers from the Alpine Club.
Yeah.
They're like, wake up, Jean, whatever the muscle man, just in case.
Yep, just in case.
And he wakes up and he's already in his
suit with his belt.
And the
sleeps with it.
And my initial thought was that's a funny one-off. He'll never come into play again. Yep. He has a huge part.
He does in the chase.
Jumps on the car, rips the hood off the car. Yeah. Like, it's such a good call to wake that guy. Yeah.
And that was a perfect spot to add that animation too. You know, I think if you would have done it earlier on, or like, you know, when the kid's doing Morse code and it says send in the cook, you know, like, I don't think it would have worked as well. But that chase scene, there was something really cool with the animation that I appreciated. And he probably saved himself some money.
Well, yeah, almost, definitely.
Maybe, definitely with animation.
Yeah, but it kind of, like you say, goes back to like the New Yorker did a ton of like cartoons as well, you know, and they even have the French Dispatch has Jason Schwartzman plays he plays the illustrator for the French Dispatch or whatever. He draws the Bill Murray's character at the very end. Where they're like, that's him.
That's him.
But yeah, so I kind of like that. It really went. It wasn't just kind of like a random animated scene. It really went with the theme of the film as well. But and the animation was beautiful as well.
Yeah, it was.
2D animation is my favorite animation. I talk
Bring
about
it back. Bring it back. I want to get my
Disney.
DuckTales, Winnie the Pooh.
Bring it back.
I need the 2D.
Gargoyles,
Jungle Book, Toy Story.
Yeah,
it's a bunch. Or Buzz Lightyear, I should say. My bad.
Yes, but yeah, I love that whole scene. Jeffrey Wright is amazing in that. As he doesn't have photographic memory; he has typographic memory.
Yes, which is much different, but it's Roebuck.
Yeah. Roebuck Wright is his name.
And he was hired because he was also in the chicken coop, is what they call it. Obviously, jail, prison, because of the fact that he was a homosexual.
Yes, and who else is in the chicken coop?
Oh, our own pal, the friend of the show,
big friend of the show,
fan of the show. He writes us letters.
He was
every
actually
week.
the one who got us started on it. He said, "You guys got something here.
I don't know if it's because you always
tape.
talk about my acting or my films, but you guys got something going on."
Is having the biggest year, and I couldn't be happier. Willem Dafoe, who's just in everything, but only good shit.
Yeah.
He's not like he's taking every role like the fucking Rock.
And guess what, Cash? I got good news for you. I know you already know it, but he's also in The Northman.
Of course I know it.
I can't wait. He's going to have a great 2 years, man.
No, he's one of my favorites, but a small cameo role in this, but always glad to see him.
Yep.
He's great. He plays the Abacus.
Abacus. Albert the Albacus.
Wes Anderson is great at naming characters, which is some people's like weakest point.
Kryptonite.
Yeah, is naming characters. I know John Carpenter, one of my favorite directors, he hates naming characters, and he always named characters of people he knew in the past, like friends, so he would always name them. But man, Wes Anderson seems to have a ton of fun naming these characters. Roebuck Wright is a great name.
Roebuck Wright, yeah. Moses.
Yeah, Edward Norton is known as the chauffeur.
The chauffeur. Simone.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, Moses. It's amazing. Henry Winkler is in this. I don't want to go back.
This is my favorite one though. Dennis Mochet as prison guard.
Yeah, that is a good one. You're right. That's a good name for sure. But yeah, I loved the ending. With the sun and how fast it went, it wasn't really the ending. It was the final of the anthology stories.
Right, yeah, but I really did enjoy the elements of like kind of building this story and at a very rapid pace too. Right, the dialogue and everything. Everything's fast, but they built up the fact that this kid was very intelligent. He was super smart. This is what he was going to do from a very young age.
He was being
and he was learning Morse code was his first language. He was being
groomed to take on the commissioner's job from his dad. Yeah. It was good, but it was also very, like, for such a short story. I mean, it was 15, 20 minutes probably, maybe a little longer, but you really cared about what happened to the kid and the commissioner, especially when it's still a cartoon, but when he grabs his son and he like, goes through the windshield back and they hug or whatever, it's a heartwarming scene.
Well, he punches him first.
Yeah, which is great. That was great, yeah. Yeah, it was really great. And
I hate to... she was not a showgirl.
She was a junkie.
She was a junkie, but what's her name? It's so hard to say, the Irish girl, but she's
Sharose. I can't remember. Yeah,
but she's a phenomenal actress too. Another cameo.
I'm almost positive she's dating Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think they're together. I'm pretty sure. I think they're together. Yeah. She was great too. Sad that she had to go.
Well, they were in Lady Bird together too. They've worked together. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. She's great in that. Irish actress. They always have the toughest fucking names. Celtic.
I know. Saroshi, something like that.
Not Shiroshi. That sounds a little Japanese.
Oh, it's gonna irritate the hell out of me.
It's like, and her last name is not even Ronin. It's spelt Ronin, but it's pronounced something different.
It's completely different.
Yeah. She's great in it though. Like you said, the final scene of Jeffrey Wright's character talking to the chef who poisons himself
to save the kid. Yeah,
it was brutal, but that was a good scene too when they give him the food and he doesn't even hesitate, downs it all, and like we learned to it later, but he's like, the taste of the poison salts. He's like,
it's a taste I've never tasted before.
Almost spicy
and like, earthly. Yeah, he's like earthly, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's poison, bro.
Yeah. Poor guy, but the ultimate sacrifice for sure.
But luckily, he had such a strong stomach, he was able to withstand it.
That whole thing is so ridiculous. He was a cop chef.
Yeah. He just wanted to fit in, man.
And the whole like building that up of like Jeffrey Wright, like really fast talking dialogue of like explaining how being a chef for the police is like a really big job, and how like nothing can make it crunch. All the condiments are powderized, so no spillage at a crime scene. Like all these different things of like how you specifically have to make the meal.
But
for
again,
a cop.
Little details that are funny.
Oh, hilarious! It's like got to be high in protein because you're running a lot, like all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, it was just built up really well, and not a character that you would think you would be sad about, but definitely when he dies, you are. It's a sad moment for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
And now we are back to color. See how I did that?
Boom, man, you were good on camera.
Yeah, thank you.
But that is how the final one ends, and then we get the obituary, which is another, I thought, a really great scene of them all coming together and of them like writing his obituary together and all having like a piece of it.
No crying.
That scene is so funny when the kid with the letter comes in.
In the beginning of the film?
You're fired. I
I am? Are you serious?
And no crying. And the slow ass pan up. No crying. And
Common theme throughout the film.
Even when they find out he dies, they're on his office. Someone almost cries and they go, hey.
No crying.
No crying. Yeah. The camera work, we can talk a little bit about that, but the Wes Anderson is almost opposite of what we see today of constant movement with the camera, where he is static most of the time.
Static. Well, the opening scene, one of my favorites, was when the chef is bringing up the food.
That scene, like I said, such a small scene, but also one of my favorite scenes of the film.
Yeah.
Of like laying out how the town works and everything, and it's just very Wes Anderson, and immediately puts you in
the world
to where you're going to need to be.
Absolutely. And like when he went up the ladder and didn't have any food, I go, how is he going to grab the food? And then you see the little pulley, the little rope pulley. I'm like, oh my God,
how inconvenient.
that's
awesome. It's at the very top of the floor. You have to go up every single day.
But again, it's there's something whimsical and funny about it.
And I love that at one point they're asking that guy who's just like a waiter, they're asking him about like stories and stuff, about like what they need to keep and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's very whimsical, but I don't know. It's maybe I'm a Wes Anderson fanboy, but I always enjoy his films. Yeah. They just leave me smiling for some reason. I love the dialogue. I love how quick it just. The movies always go by so fast too, and he doesn't overstay his welcome. This movie's an hour 47 minutes,
and he obviously knows what he is, and he gets talent that suits his skills best.
And he sticks with them.
I think it would be a lot harder if he didn't cast the people that he does.
Yeah,
who have that kind of talent, who can see the world, see the vision. Because if you're dealing with new actors all the time, I think it would have a different feel to a lot of his films.
Well, with his style of filming, if you were going to do a film that was constantly like it's 5 people, 6 people, he's working every time 20 to 30 people.
Yeah.
So you need to get like familiar with a certain group of people. Like I call it the Wes Anderson troupe because that's what it is. It's like they stick together. And like Bill Murray, this is the 8th film that Bill Murray has been in with us.
Which it's always nice to see Bill Murray because he doesn't do a whole lot of work these days. So.
And I think he is the OG and he is the king of the Wes Anderson deadpan delivery.
Yes.
Because everything he delivers is so serious, even though it's so ridiculous. It is. And his delivery is phenomenal. It's going to be a really, tragic day when Bill Murray goes, because I don't think Wes Anderson's going to be able to make another film without him.
Nah, I'll just say to hell with it. I retire.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
What's interesting is Bill Murray is going to be in the Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
He's, I think, the bad guy.
Are you serious?
I think he's the bad guy. Yeah.
All right. New most anticipated film of 2023.
That's so crazy that you said that, because I'm almost positive an article dropped today, I think, that said he was going to be the bad guy in it.
That'd be so awesome. Have Bill Murray as a bad guy. Does it get better than that?
Yeah, Bill Murray, who only does indie stuff these days. Mm-hmm. Only does small things. Well, Ghostbusters was the biggest thing he did.
That's a franchise thing that he was known for.
And he was in it for 3 minutes, maybe. Yeah. But that's a pretty big film for him.
Hell yeah, it is. It's a good old payday for a 71-year-old man.
He doesn't need it, but...
No.
I know he's great in this, though. Hopefully he's got at least 3 more Wes Anderson films in him.
Oh, yeah.
Takes Wes Anderson a long time to make. These are some films that are all of these sets are clearly handmade, obviously, because you got to split them down the middle. Right. And these are they're going to destroy all these sets after it. Wes Anderson's not keeping the shit.
He should go the old Del Toro route and keep everything.
He'd have to have 9 houses. Well, not that, because these things are the size of houses.
Yeah, they are. They're full-blown sets, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou, which is
I saw it many years ago.
He built an entire boat set that's split down the middle, like he likes to shoot it. An entire thing, it took up a warehouse. That's, Jesus. They just destroy at the end of this. Yeah. It's tragic, but yeah, there's no reason to keep those sets, because Wes Anderson's not going to do a sequel or anything like that.
Of course not.
But what I was getting at was it takes him a really long time to make things. So it will be another 3 to 4 years until we get another Wes Anderson.
But I mean, I'm thinking, you said 3 films for old Bill Murray. He will be 80 in 9 years. Every 3 years, it is plausible. That's all I'm saying.
71 these days is not too old for a really rich guy.
Well, and for actors too, Well,
they're rich. Yeah. That's why they live to be so long.
Right, of course. Supplements,
supplements,
PT.
Well, drugs that we just don't even have access to.
We don't. It's actually not a joke. We don't have access to the drugs those rich people.
I don't even know. It's a new wave. It's coming from Area 51 for all we know.
Yeah.
It's alien stem cells, I'm sure.
The lucky few.
We can only wish to be someday getting experimental drugs.
I cannot wait for that day to happen.
And plastic surgery plays a big role.
Yeah, we'll be getting a lot of that down the
road. All right, Mason, I was happy about it. It's probably not the best Wes Anderson film, but I really liked it. I think it deserves higher than 75%.
Yeah, so do I. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Yeah. I'm actually a little shocked that 75% seems very low.
Yeah.
Because all 4 of these stories, and technically kind of more 3 than 4, but we get the little Owen Wilson, which I'll count as a story. But every single one of them had highlights for me, had a lot of things that I enjoyed, and just the storyline in general. I really enjoyed this movie, so I hope people go and see this. It's another one you can go and rent on Prime Video right now. I think it's only $5.99 to rent, so well worth it.
I really wish I had seen it in theaters, though, because it is an experience when you're watching a Wes Anderson film. Like I said, there's nothing like it, but it only played in 2 theaters in America.
It sucks.
They weren't around us.
Yeah, they weren't. Not out of the 50 states. We couldn't find those 2 theaters.
Tough times, but like you said, go rent it now. Show your appreciation for it. Absolutely. Make it some money at least. Definitely worth it, though.
Yep. Alrighty, well, that is our review for The French Dispatch. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krausen. Until next time.
Bye.